Slavoj Zizek is here. He is a philosopher who describes himself as a complicated communist. The New Republic once described him as the most dangerous philosopher in the West. He has written on topics ranging from Karl Marx to the animated film Kung Fu Panda. Earlier this month, he spoke at Occupy Wall Street. I am pleased to have him here at this table. In this initial conversation, we'll try to understand not only where he came from, what does he believe, and his observations on what he sees today in terms of the political environment. So welcome.
Thanks very much. I'm honored to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
For a long time, I watched PBS. It's much better than all those other channels on...
Well, on behalf of PBS, I thank you.
Thank you.
We're pleased to have you in the audience. I hope occasionally you'll be amused, occasionally you'll learn something, occasionally you will find reasons to throw something at your television.
No, I will tell you very seriously that I learned through channels like PBS to get rid of this European arrogance, you know. We Europeans, through intellectual, vulgar United States. No, you don't get, especially in this present turn towards education or whatever public TV, which should more serve social needs, so that, you know, they are cutting off all intellectual stuff from TV programs. Europe is much worse than United States.
In terms of its intellectual arrogance and...
No. In terms simply of the true vivacity of intellectual life. Don't be ashamed, even intellectually, to be Americans.
Do you like America?
Why not? I'm saying this absolutely sincerely. Although, I must add, as an amusing remark, please don't take it too seriously. You know who was absolutely fascinated with America?
Who?
Stalin.
You know,
when he was asked in late 20s, can he define the ideal profile of a Bolshevik communist? He said a combination of Russian tenacity, fidelity to a cause, and American dynamic, pragmatic spirit.
Why are you fascinated by Stalin?
It's a very sad story. Far from me being in any way crypto-Stalinist, I think that the Stalinist phenomenon in the 20th century was something so terrifying, things went so monstrously wrong, that we don't yet really have a theory, a real understanding of what went wrong. I don't buy all the standard explanations, you know, fanatics ready to sacrifice living people for the idea or whatever. All this is way too simple for me. Things went so terribly wrong, in a totally different way from fascism.
And they hated everybody. They, you know, there was a process. There wasn't any specific group. It was everybody, including each other.
Absolutely. This is, for example, already one thing that people don't get it. It was a suicidal regime. I mean, are we aware of the monstrosity at the climactic point of the Stalinist terror, mid-30s? You know what was absolutely the most dangerous place to be? A member of Central Committee. Look at the names in the Central Committee from 34 to 37.
One by one, boom, boom, boom.
80% boom, boom, boom.
Right.
What? So, you know, it's not... This is already the wrong perception. Some elite group of fanatical communists killing ordinary people. No, killing each other.
In fact, the man who was doing the killing and burial, they went boom, boom to him.
This is why... at the end. But this is why Beria probably, if not organized the death of Stalin, prevented doctors' help, because Beria knew what Stalin was doing. When Stalin nominated a new secret police boss, he immediately nominated someone who was formally just second in command, but whose task was to prepare a dossier to get rid at a later stage and of him. So Beria knew he's next. He's next in the line to be shot.
So tell me what you do.
I'm lucky. I'm not kidding. There is irony in it. And my, ironically, gratitude goes to communist regime. You know why? In the early 1970s, 73, when I finished my postgraduate studies, I was already accepted to be assistant professor, to make a career there.
This was where?
73, Ljubljana, Slovenia, ex-Yugoslavia. Then immediately, afterwards, like a couple of months after, there was a counter-offensive of hardline communists, the last Indian summer of hardline communism. So, I didn't get a job for 6-7 years I was unemployed, but it wasn't too bad. I was doing translations and so on, supported by my parents. And then a miracle happened. Then they got me a job at some marginal institute for social sciences. The idea was, I'm not a complete idiot, so they gave me a job, but marginal institute to prevent public influence and contact with students. I'm still there. It means permanent sabbatical. I have absolutely all the freedom to do whatever I want.
But you're known around the world, American students. I mean, you're high up on the list of sort of people that they want to hear.
Yeah, to hear it's okay, but I don't like to lose too much time with debates. I'm very misanthropic, you know. I think that most of the people are boring, stupid, and so on. I don't like to lose time. They told me, oh, you should debate with students, you will discover new ideas. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it will be just loss of time, you know.
Well, isn't there a dance place named after you in Buenos Aires?
This is such a brutal irony. It's not a joke what I will tell you now. Yeah. People think, oh, I'm extrovert, half crazy, but I have my problems. Never in my life, and never is not a metaphor for just once a year, never did I dance or sing. I'm psychologically unable to do it.
You never could dance?
No.
You don't have this
motor
skills?
Too obscene. It's too, no, it's the obscenity of gestures. I cannot do it.
Yeah. So why do they think you're the most dangerous philosopher in the West? Or at least why did one writer for the New Republic say that? What is it you do or say that makes people think you're dangerous?
It's some things that I wrote about violence, connected with what the author misread as my sympathy, which is absolutely not here for Stalinism and tough regimes, which is madness. Sorry, but I was some kind of a dissident, not the hard one, but enough not to get a job, no? Plus, although it's very ambiguous, my critical stance towards the politics of the State of Israel towards Palestinians, although my position is there very differentiated. I totally agree with those who claim that you never should compromise with anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is, for me, the primordial zero-level form of ideology. You have certain social conflict, and you try to resolve it by blaming some outside intruders and so on.
Looking for a scapegoat.
Yeah. You know why I brought out these dangers of the Zionist politics? Look, I see something terrible happening lately. I hope you and other intelligent people also noticed it. First, it was Breivik, the crazy guy from Oslo, who was not so crazy. Unfortunately, he had a consistent ideological vision. Do you notice that he is a strange case of Zionist anti-Semitism? On the one hand, he totally supported the State of Israel, throw out the Palestinians, Arabs. At the same time, he's clearly anti-Semitic. For example, he writes that in Europe, there are not too many Jews, it's okay. In the United States, that's in his manifesto, you have 6 million Jews, it's too much, and so on, so you will have to deal with it. But wasn't something similar, for example, here on Fox TV with Glenn Beck?
Yes.
He was fired, made anti-Semitic, at the same time, totally pro-Zionist. And what I really am terrified with is that some hardline Zionists in the State of Israel are ready to make a pact with this kind of Zionist, anti-Semitic, for example, American Christian fundamentalists. The idea is we tolerate your internal anti-Semitism if you allow us to play the same game with Palestine. And it makes me very sad for the Jewish people whom I like immensely. I think that something that the way they are treating Palestinians will decide their character. Will they become just another nation state, or will what made them so great in the history of humanity survive? But again, we live in crazy times. This is misread as, I'm anti-Semitic or whatever.
I hear you. Tell me about this film the forthcoming film. It's called The Pervert's Guide to Ideology, directed by Sophie.
No, we did the first one, which did relatively well, Pervert's Guide to Cinema, and now we repeat the same formula. We take mostly the formula is documentary clips or clips from well-known films, and just giving a twist to them. For example, one with ideological critical axis. For example, one that we really like, it worked well, is we all saw James Cameron's Titanic.
Indeed. And then we saw Avatar.
Avatar isn't too low to mention, but in Titanic, you remember the final moment when Leonardo DiCaprio character is dying and freezing, then when Kate Winslet notices that he is dead, she pushes him away into the water while shouting, "I will never let you go, I will never let you go." It's a crazy, and from here I propose a crazy, but I think accurate reading of the film, that it's not really even a love story. It's a variation on that reactionary motive of Captains Courageous. A rich, spoiled girl is in a life crisis, and the function of Leonardo DiCaprio is to bring some of the lower class vitality, to restore her ego, literally. He draws the image of her, and then, after doing this, he can disappear. It's a little bit like E.T. goes home, but he goes down, no?
Yes.
And so I love doing this, which is why you mentioned it, very kind of you. I'm not saying I love the movie, but in a way I admired Kung Fu Panda. It appears just a stupid cartoon. No, it's what I admire in the movie is the following. Everyone noticed it. On the one hand, the movie mobilizes, all that, let's call it Oriental military mystique, Kung Fu faith, warrior, discipline, all that stuff. At the same time, the movie is totally ironic, making fun of its own ideology. What is so fascinating is that although the movie makes fun of its own ideology all the time, the ideology survives. And this is how cynicism functions. If I'm permitted to tell my favorite story, a wonderful anecdote about Niels Bohr, the Copenhagen guy, which best exemplifies this
nuclear scientist.
Yeah, that one, yeah. No, he was an extraordinary spirit. He once, a friend visited him in his country house, farmer's house, where he went for the weekend to rest dacha in Russian. And the friend noticed there above the entrance to the house a horseshoe, which I don't know how it is here in Europe. It's a superstitious item preventing evil spirits to enter the house. Yes. So okay,
you see it on barns throughout the South.
Yeah, in Europe also. So so the friend asked Niels Bohr, "But wait a minute, aren't you a scientist? Do you believe in this?" Niels Bohr said, "Of course, I'm not crazy, I don't." So the friend asked him, "Why do you have it there?" You know what Niels Bohr answered?
No, I can't wait to find out.
Yeah. He said, "Of course I don't believe in it, that it says, but I have it there because I was told that it works even if you don't believe in it." That's unfortunately our ideology today.
Or I'm hedging my bets.
Yeah, like you don't have to believe in it, but belief still functions. Like, think about another thing which always fascinated me. Things like Santa Claus. You ask the parents, "Do you believe in Santa Claus?" They will tell you, "I'm not crazy, I buy that." Then you ask the child, "Do you believe?" He will say, "No, I'm not crazy, I just pretend not to hurt my parents." And, so a belief functions as a social category, even if no one believes in it. I think this is crucial to understand how things function today.
What's the role of philosophy, you think, in the 21st century today?
I don't exaggerate it, but also I don't underestimate it. Let me be very clear. First, I claim that the time of philosophy is coming. Why? Look just at the ethical questions we are debating. Abortion, is it permissible or not, biogenetic manipulations. These are simply new dilemmas where, let's face it, you cannot simply apply old traditional wisdoms or rules. We have to think. At the same time, I don't think philosophers can bring ready-made answers. But philosophers can do something very important today. They can, and this is no less important than correct answers, they can allow us to ask the right questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's exactly what they do.
Because